persuasion can sometimes feel like a bad word. It has a negative connotation. And what I want to teach you is that persuasion is not a bad word, but can be used in negative ways. That's why the study of persuasion is so important, not just for you as a speaker, but for you as a listener. The communication process includes a speaker, a communicator, and a listener. And it's so important to understand the techniques used in persuasion so that when you are using persuasion in an argument, you know you are using it well and ethically. And vice versa, when you are the listener, listening to someone or a company or something trying to persuade you, you are listening well in a way where you can understand the techniques being used on you and if the argument is solid or not. It's so important. We live in a day and age where persuasion is coming at us all the time in many forms, in different directions, through various medias. And what is an argument that is built on fallacies? An argument that has holes in it? This is so important for you to know as a listener and as a speaker. And so today, we're going to talk through 3 words that have been around since ancient Greece. You've probably heard these words in your English class before. The words pathos, ethos, and logos. Pathos, ethos, and logos are 3 techniques used not just in persuasion. They can be used in varying forms of public speaking. But when it comes to persuasion, it's important to know how to use them well as the speaker and how to decipher them well as the listener. So what is pathos, ethos, and logos? Pathos, the use of emotional appeal. Ethos, the credibility of the speaker and the information being said. And logos, the logic, the facts, the evidence. So here's the deal. A speech with pathos is one that is probably going to engage the audience. How can we use pathos in our public speaking, in our persuasion specifically? This is when you bring in a story or a testimony or that evidence that pulls at the heartstring and or makes your audience laugh or feel happy. We have to remember that emotion is not just the sad or the angry or that sort of a feel. Emotional appeal can be happy, joyful. That's an emotion as well. But emotional appeal, this is the use of storytelling, the use of testimony, the use of examples that are going to pull out emotion from your audience. This can be used so well to truly paint the picture of what is going on in your argument, of what the extreme is. It lets it have that human touch and feel, that idea that we can imagine what that is, what the argument is. We can imagine what the situation is. Emotional appeal used well is going to be used to really draw your audience in. But be careful, because emotional appeal alone is not a solid argument. So as a speaker, know that you need more than just emotional appeal to have a solid argument. As a listener, be aware when an argument is being based solely on emotional appeal without the logos to go with it, the logic. So we're gonna step into logos, logic. This is your evidence, your hardcore facts, your evidence. You have done your research, you've found the studies, you have found the statistics. And so now your logos can put a number, can put an exact framework around that emotional appeal that you just had. Perhaps you've told us a story and that story has drawn us in. And through logos, you might be able to give us a statistic, and that statistic would quantify that emotional appeal. Suddenly there is a number. We understand the vast scale of the situation for the argument. And so now if we've been drawn in with emotion and now we realize the severity of the situation, we suddenly feel compelled to perhaps move forward with a policy change or move forward with whatever it is that is being persuaded on in the situation. But that logos cannot be forgotten. You have to have logic. You have to have evidence. And so a persuasive speech that uses pathos well with logos well is going to form a compelling speech. You want to make sure that your evidence is solid evidence. You're finding true facts, true studies that have done the work to put the information out there to show us how this situation affects your argument. Logos. You must have logic in your speech. And ethos. What is ethos? That's credibility, authority. How are you an authority on this topic? And let's be real, we live in a day and age, again, where persuasion is coming at us in so many different directions that we need to be careful to identify authorities on topics versus opinions. We can all have opinions, but as we are listening to narratives out there, we want to know that someone is an authority on the topic. On social media these days, it is an unregulated space where we have a platform and we can give our opinions. As a listener, make sure we are sifting through opinions and knowing whether someone is an authority on it or it's an opinion. Opinions are not bad, but if you are going to believe an argument, know someone's credibility on a topic, know the logic, the evidence, the facts behind it, the truth, and know when it is simply maybe emotional appeal being used and that's it. It's important for us to check what is being thrown at us with persuasion. And so ethos. You as a speaker, how can you be credible in a topic? You can be credible through your expertise. This is a good time to share if you are an expert in a topic. Share your experience, share your expertise, share that you have done the work to research the topic. You have done the work well, and so you can now say that you are credible. Be credible through your supporting material. This is a time when your audience should be listening for what supporting material is being thrown to them. And is it coming from a credible site? Or is it coming from a very opinionated site? If you're going to give a speech on a topic where there are vast opposing sides that have strong opinions, and perhaps they have both done their own research, something you may want to think about is seeing if you can find your logos, your evidence from a neutral party. A party that has perhaps done the same research, but they're neutral on the situation. This is something that would go a long way for the opposite side of whatever you are on. Finding neutral parties that have done information, that have done research and gathered information that support your argument. That's just a tip in your credibility and in your becoming credible as a speaker on the topic. Be confident. Be confident as a speaker. Come up. Your credibility will also be in how you present. Are you presenting with confidence and passion and conviction? Or are you coming up with timidity and questions and lack of confidence on the topic? How you present is going to matter. And so pathos, ethos, and logos. It is good to know that these three words can be used to really create a solid, persuasive speech. You want to have each of these in your persuasive speech. It is also good to know how these are being used as you are listening so that you can sift through information and know for yourself that something is credible and something has logic to the emotional appeal. Understand these words as a speaker and as a listener.